do you want to do any crystal ball gazing, or should we go to India's role? Because that's what's pertinent to us, starting with Operation Ganga. We have great names for all these things we do, the evacuation of all our students there. And latest news today, I don't know if you know about it, but 4 ministers are going to 4 neighboring states of Ukraine to help the process.
I think that's most unfortunate, actually. I must say that the priority ought to be evacuating people, not dancing attendance upon ministers. We need more boots on the ground, or field worker level guys or girls who will go there and actually be at the border crossings and help. Because I don't know how many of you have been watching social media and seeing videos coming out of Indian students in desperation at borders. It's scary. Some of them are being beaten up by border guards. Some of them are being attacked by Ukrainians saying, your country stood with the Russians, why should we help you? Some others are saying they have no food, no money, no place to sleep, no place to...
And it's all bitterly cold.
It's also bitterly cold, as Europe is at this time of year. It's pretty awful. And rather than sending ministers, he should have, for the price of a minister, you can send 10 ordinary young people from the government.
So why do you think the government is sending the ministers? Is it optics? Is it that there's a serious situation there and they're worried about the 15,000 odd people who are still there?
I don't know if any other country outside Europe has 20,000 citizens stuck in Ukraine in the middle of a raging war. It's a very serious responsibility. We were slow off the mark, there's no question about it. The government had evacuated precisely 242 people in one Air India flight, one flight, before the war broke out. And those 242 people were made to pay through their noses for the tickets, which is really quite shameful when you think of how previous governments have evacuated people in crises. We evacuated people from Kuwait when the Iraqi invasion happened. We evacuated people from Libya when the war there happened, from Yemen. And the government of India, no previous non-BJP government of India ever charged a paise to the Indian citizens who were being brought out of harm's way. Nor were there any grand celebrations and ministers walking down crowded aircraft to essentially solicit applause for the Prime Minister. I mean, all that is most unfortunate, I think. I think the government should understand this is their basic duty. They should do it. And they should do it without looking for applause at this point. Let them first solve the problem, get 20,000 people back home.
But they would say that that's why they're sending the ministers, and all the Operation Ganga flights are now completely borne. I mean, the Foreign Secretary has made a point.
Now they're going to pay for it.
It's going to be at government expense. So,
sending the ministers.
Should we be faulting the government? I mean, this government, should we be faulting it? Because that seems to be the problem, right? You cannot fault this government ever.
Is that healthy or right in a democracy?
No, I'm not saying if it's healthy or right. I'm asking you, can we fault this government? Because that seems to be what you cannot do these days.
Look, it's very easy for the government, every time they criticize, to say, oh, you're politicizing this, you're bringing politics into this is cheap, etc. Or to turn around and say, but what do you think Nehru would have done? Blaming Nehru is their default option. But having said that, honestly, I'm not sure that the ministers are the people, unless the ministers have specific experience in managing evacuations. And I don't think there are too many ministers with that kind of background. I don't know which the 4 ministers are. Perhaps the former general.
Hardeep Puri, VK Singh, Kiran Rijiju, and there was a 4th minister, Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia.
All right. Well, let's see how they do. And as long as they don't expect people to leave the border to look after them, and rather they will go to the border and look after the Indian citizens, then I'm happy.